Chaos has begun to erupt as a massive crowd gathers in Washington, D.C. to protest Donald Trump at the inauguration. Police have already pepper sprayed some of the protesters, and some were left bloodied. As Obama leaves his excellent 8 years of golf, the U.S. has accumulated trillions in debt and a faltering economy. The U.S. hasn't been this divided in a very long time. You came here for the truth, so let me unveil that for you. Let's talk about the protests today, and I want to connect that in with things that are going on economy-wise. This right here is a video from TMZ. There are many out there. What I would suggest you do is basically just go to a search engine, type in TMZ and Trump protests, or just Trump protests. This video happens to be pretty good. It shows a lot of different scenes, lighting fires, people bloodied, all sorts of things that have occurred. And it's interesting because nothing has even happened yet, and already the chaos has erupted. And I'm certainly, perhaps at the moment that you're watching this, things have already gotten much worse. Washington turned into a virtual fortress on Thursday ahead of Donald Trump's presidential inauguration, while thousands of people took to the streets of New York and Washington to express their displeasure with his coming administration. Some 900,000 people, both Trump backers and opponents, are expected to flood Washington Friday's inauguration ceremony. So this right here could be something that we see, take a turn for the worse. I want to keep our eyes on this definitely. There's always talk of assassination attempts. There's always talk of this really getting bad very quickly. And we could see a lot of arrests taking place, a lot of violence taking place. And hopefully it's something that, doesn't really get too bad. It's really sad to see that on either side. Nobody ever wins like this. All right, let's get into something that I believe is quite important, and that is the amount of debt that the U.S. is currently in. According to the government statistics here, we are looking at just shy of $20 trillion. $20 trillion of debt, and it is up significantly during the Obama administration. Intragovernmental debt is talking about how much debt does the government owe itself. Essentially, it's what we're looking at. You're looking at $5.5 trillion. Okay, we're just going to steal from Social Security. Just take a little bit, just a little bit. Put an IOU, piece of paper of an IOU in there, and don't worry, we're going to pay it back. I promise, pinky swear. Of course, that's never going to happen. $5.5 trillion later. Looking at this, the U.S. national debt, again, nearing about $20 trillion. This point here is under the Obama presidency, and it's already during the 1970s, essentially when Nixon took the world off the gold standard. You're looking at this from the Bretton Woods to this 1971 goes on the dollar standard, and look at that. I mean, it's going up significantly year over year, but that's nothing, because as soon as Obama comes in and they have the bailouts, TARP, and everything else, it just skyrockets. And the amount of debt under Obama, and I believe I have another, I didn't put it in here, but basically what we're looking at is a total of more debt under Obama than has ever been seen before. I believe it's an 80%, 88% increase under Obama. And think about how much debt has been accumulated in such a short period of time. There's no way. It's impossible to ever pay this back. So the next administration is going to have their work cut out for them. I don't know if they can actually cut back on the amount of spending. I think it's actually impossible, but we'll see what we're in for. Add a weakening yuan and capital outflows from China to the global forces helping boost demand for gold. This is actually interesting what has happened here. In the week through Monday, China attracted $52 million, the biggest inflow into commodity-linked exchange-traded funds to all countries. And that's this particular gold ETF, China's largest ETF, backed by raw materials. And that's interesting to see. Individuals, when they get worried, they start shifting their money. Okay, I believe they shouldn't be buying ETFs. I think that's a big mistake. But they are at least interested in gold. You know, I talk with individuals in the finance industry regularly, one of which who works for a Canadian company. Canadian company. Let's leave it at that. I don't want to give any details at all. Is over the years, as I've spoken to this person, become more and more worried as time goes on. And the unfortunate part is that that individual purchasing not physical metals, but paper metals, and that simply is not real. I mean, it's a derivative of the real thing. You know, you could say a mining stock is like investing in precious metals, but it really isn't. In a way it is, sure, and it's absolutely valid, and you know, there's a lot of money to be made, a lot of profit to be made, and everything, but it's not the metal. That's the point. If you're seeking for safety, if you want that security from, and you think that precious metal is going to provide you with that, it's not the same as buying a gold ETF or buying into a mining stock, for example. So understand that difference. Very important. Let's look at this. Gold and Bitcoin. Look at the red line downwards here. You can see it drops off at the same time that these gold ETFs have picked up. In fact, this is just showing you gold anyway. But what it shows you that individuals are seeking the safety and security of gold, and perhaps in a small, short time frame, choosing to drop off from Bitcoin. I mean, I do think that it's got a long way to go here, and both of them. I don't believe that they're fighting each other. That's one other thing as well. It only shows you gold versus Bitcoin, but I'd like to see it against, another 10 different things, and you'll see that they're not exactly different. People are choosing alternate forms of currency or assets, so both gold and Bitcoin are something that people are seeking. Running to gold, China draws the biggest inflow into commodity ETFs on rising demand for bullion. You could see that clearly, very clearly. China in first, US second, and then followed by Canada. Look at this. Speaking of China, Paramount Pictures has made its most significant long-term alliance in China since the deal last year for $5 billion deal. The studio has closed deals with the Shanghai Film Group and Beijing-based this Huahua Media for those companies to fund 25% or more of the studio's entire film slate for the next 3 years. So what do they do? The deal worth a potential $1 billion. And a $1 billion deal. I mean, these Chinese companies are purchasing pretty much all of Hollywood. I do assume that at some point the larger percentage of Hollywood will be owned by Chinese corporations, and I think it's going to happen within even a 5 or 10 year period. We could see massive change in what's happening. Look at the movies being produced by these Chinese media corporations. I believe the latest release of Mission Impossible was done by, I think it's Alibaba Pictures or something like this. So it's happening. It's happening very rapidly. And then in a way, I look at it as, look, it's just business. That's the way it's going. But you look at it also about a way to have censorship, because a lot of these corporations in China are owned by the state, or at least in some way, shape, or form. So you have a major influence on the media within the country. Very dangerous. Not necessarily on the outside, you just look at it as a business interaction. No, I'm talking about seeing between the lines, if you understand what I'm saying. I hope you do. And I'm going to finish with that. If you found this video informative, please give me a thumbs up. If you prefer this instead, then give me a thumbs down. That's right. All right. If you found the video informative, I know you'll find my book, The Money GPS, even more informative. I've taken this very complicated subject of finance, made it easy, and I've done so using charts. I've also drawn up diagrams for this book, so it's going to make that very easy for you and people, your loved ones, friends, family, to understand as well. So look through the book. If you actually go to Amazon, they have a look inside feature that will allow you to flip through the pages of the book and see if you like it. Take care.